Hey, have you ever heard of Hundra? If not, you're in for a wild ride. This is a 1983 sword and sorcery adventure that's basically what would happen if you mashed up Conan the Barbarian with a super tough, take-no-crap Amazon woman at its core. And get this, it's got a legit sweeping soundtrack by Ennio Morricone. Yeah, that Morricone. For a low-budget flick, that's kinda amazing. So what's the deal with Hundra? Our hero, Hundra, played by Laurene Landon, grows up in this tribe of badass women who totally reject men and live by their own rules. But disaster strikes early when a gang of dudes wipes out the tribe, and Hundra's left all alone. A wise old seer tells her she's got to keep the tribe's legacy going, meaning she needs to go find a guy, have a daughter, and start over. Hundra's never really been into dudes, let alone looking for one, so this is a big deal for her. Now, she's got to navigate a world run by men, kick a lot of butt, and figure out if she can let her guard down enough to trust someone. Eventually, she finds a guy who actually gets her, and she has to balance the whole motherhood thing without giving up her independence. The ending? Expect swords, action, and, of course, one last fight to protect everything she stands for. Here's some behind-the-scenes trivia. Matt Simber, who made his name with Grindhouse movies, jumped on the fantasy bandwagon after Conan got huge. Laurene Landon was completely dedicated. She did her own horseback stunts and fight scenes, and thanks to this film, she became a minor cult icon. They shot Hundra in Spain to get those cool landscapes on the cheap, but somehow they still got Morricone to write the music. That soundtrack lifts the whole film and has become a gem in its own right. Now, let's talk themes. This is basically proto-feminism meets action cinema. Hundra is strong, doesn't take orders, and totally flips the usual gender roles you'd expect from an 80s fantasy movie. But yeah, there's also a lot of campy exploitation stuff. So while it's trying to be empowering, it definitely gets a little, well, complicated, you know? When it came out, critics didn't love it. They thought it was clunky and cheesy. But fans of these kinds of movies, and especially people looking for a sword and sorcery flick with a little something different, kind of love it for all its weirdness, especially with Landon owning the role and Morricone slapping down an epic score. Over the years, Hundra has turned into a cult favourite. People still watch it for the stunts, the wild tone, and that unique mix of real empowerment and pure 80s cheese. There were even plans for a sequel, but it tanked at the box office. Still, collectors scoop up the Blu-rays, and soundtrack nerds are always hunting down Morricone's music from the film. So, long story short, Hundra, 1983, is a crazy, strange, one-of-a-kind relic from the 80s fantasy boom. Part Conan copy, part feminist fantasy, part pure exploitation, and wrapped up in an honest-to-God Morricone soundtrack. It totally flopped back in the day, but now it's this weird, lovable cult classic. Want more deep dives like this? Smash that subscribe button for movies of the 80s. We've got plenty more where this came from.